Thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity to join you today from my office here in Hobart. I'd like to begin by paying respect to the original custodians of Tasmania and the ongoing custodians of Tasmania, the Palawa people of Lutruwita. I'm coming to you from the lands of the Muanina people in and around Hobart. I'd like to pay respect to their elders, past, present and emerging, and any Palawa people here today. And I'd also like to acknowledge the more than 40,000 years Tasmanian Aboriginal people have raised their children in connection with culture and country. I'd also like to acknowledge the children and young people of Tasmania. There are around 113,000 of them. And like you, I'm working for them every day. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank each of you out there online. Perhaps you're at work or perhaps you're at home in your pyjamas. I don't think it matters where you are. You're all doing a fabulous job helping us raise Tasmanian children and young people as best as we can. At its very essence, my job is to promote the rights and wellbeing of Tasmanian children and young people aged less than 18 years. And I do that guided by the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. I'm a firm believer that I cannot do this job without listening to children and young people to find out what their lives are like and what's important to them. And I spend as much time as possible doing that. This past year has been like no other. More than ever, we have all had to come together to find solutions and different ways of working to support children, families and each other through unprecedented times. This conference is a perfect example of this, with a theme that I think resonates with so many of us here today. Like many of you, and of course all our children, we've had to transition to listening to children in different formats, in a more online environment. In listening to children and young people around the state and reflecting on what these transitions mean for them, I've been reminded of just how resilient they are in the face of changes beyond their control. In 2020, for Tasmanian children, there have been many transitions, big transitions like learning at school and then learning at home, and then learning at school again. I've heard from children and young people about the challenges of transitioning from regular face-to-face contact with friends through school or other activities like sport or art activities to not really seeing them other than online. That was hard. For children in out-of-home care, the pandemic complicated face-to-face contact with family members in particular. It also opened up new modes of contact and communication, like FaceTime and Zoom, and that's been a very good thing. Many children enjoyed learning from home. They liked spending more time with their family, and they liked slowing down from the frenetic pace of life. Some did not, though. They missed their friends, and for some, home wasn't a nice or even a safe place to be. And for those who were unaccompanied and homeless before the pandemic, their situation arguably became even more difficult throughout. Tasmania's digital divide has now been truly exposed by the pandemic, and children really felt this throughout the learning from home period. I heard stories of families with 8 children and 1 computer. I know the Education Department and the Department of Communities provided thousands of devices to families who needed them, and whilst this has gone some way to addressing the inequity, there is still a long way to go to address what is a systemic problem in Tasmania. Many children and young people were already struggling with their mental health prior to the pandemic, and many, and even more, continue to struggle now. This is something that is deeply concerning to them and deeply concerning to me as Commissioner. And for anyone who thought COVID might have put a dent in the passion of the many young people fighting against climate change and for our environment, then think again. They are undeterred by COVID-19. It has strengthened their resolve. Although COVID-19 presented many challenges, there have been some strange upsides. Work done by the Australia Institute suggested that for many Tasmanian children aged under 14, almost 4,000, so COVID brought with it a positive transition, a lift out of poverty. With the coronavirus supplement for income support payments increasing many household incomes enough to pay the bills, clear some debts, and buy a new coat. It saddens me that with the removal of that supplement, many children will slip back into poverty. Tasmania is, in my view, in a unique position right now, a precipice of sorts. The Tasmanian government is currently consulting, including listening extensively to the views of children and young people on what Tasmania's children and young people need to improve their wellbeing. I have great hope that this will be a game changer for our state, bringing the wellbeing of our children and young people to the centre of our government policy making. Because after all, the real test of our success lies in how well we look after the next generation of young Tasmanians. This year also brings with it a commission of inquiry into the abuse of children in Tasmanian government agencies. This will be a difficult year, and we should brace ourselves for heartbreaking stories told by brave survivors. We should also brace ourselves for the change it will no doubt bring. I'm hopeful of changes to ensure we build better systems and a better culture to protect our children from all forms of violence and abuse, which is their right, and put their safety at the centre of everything that we do. Listening to children lies at the heart of achieving this, and all of us have a role to play in empowering children and young people and to create mechanisms for them to have a say about decisions that affect them. I'm grateful to be able to meet and learn with such committed, passionate and experienced people here today, albeit in an online environment. We all have a shared commitment to creating a better future for our children and for our communities. I very much look forward to listening to and participating in discussions throughout the conference. Thank you, and I hope you all enjoy the next 2 days.